Okay. 7 o'clock. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. Okay. If you're not speaking, please mute yourself. I'm getting a lot of feedback right now. Thank you. All righty, we're gonna start off with the roll call. So it's Wednesday, January 8th, 2025. And Happy New Year, everyone. Please go back to the agenda. Thank you. All right, we'll start with Ward 1, Commissioner Young.
Present.
Thank you. Ward 2, Commissioner Henderson.
Present.
Welcome back, Commissioner Henderson. Yay.
Yay. Good to be back.
It's good to have you back. Thank you. Ward 3, Commissioner Wheatley is present. Ward 4, Commissioner Givens.
Givens is present.
Thank you. At-large Commissioner Brooks.
Brooks present.
Thank you. So we're all here and accounted for. Has everyone had a chance to look at the agenda? Are there any questions, comments, any additions? Are we good with what we have before us tonight?
This is Brooks. I'm good with moving forward with what we have. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Givens, I'm fine with it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Henderson.
Okay.
Fine with it.
Thank you.
I'm okay. However, because of my computer, I've lost the actual email with all the information attached. So I may have to ask questions as we go.
Sounds good. Thank you. All right, so we're good with the agenda. Just to let everyone know that we will be going into a closed session tonight. So we're going to try to get through this as quickly as possible. We do have a few things we need to vote on tonight. Is there any way you can make the screen bigger? That print is very small.
Unfortunately, I can't, but we will in the future.
Yeah, I can't see it. Let's see if I can find it. Oh, okay. So there's the consent agenda, which is public safety report and approval of financials. Public safety would be the chief.
Point of order, in regards to the public safety, the chief and I are out here and he's behind the wheel of the snowplow. So I mean the Bobcat, so he won't be able to give that. I'm not sure if he give it to John or someone else to do, but yeah, he's kind of tied up right now.
Okay. Any questions in regards to the financials?
No, I think I have some questions. Sorry, this is Brooks, but I'll ask them more once we get into the budget season. Thank you.
Okay. If you want, Todd is on the call. If you want to ask him something.
No, yeah, I think the only thing is really looking at like the red light and speed cameras. It seems like it's so much lower than what we budgeted for. So I'm just curious of why it's so much lower.
We're still waiting for the permits for the red light cameras. Until we can get the permits, the cameras are down.
Do we know how long that's going to take?
That would be a question for the town manager or the chief of police.
The last I saw, it was still in permitting with the state. I had sent an update to the commission. So you guys should have seen it in your email that they were still working through that. So hopefully we'll keep pushing and getting that, done as quickly as we can. But it's in our hands right now.
Okay, thank you.
I'm raising my hand because I can't do it on the phone right now. I'm in the car.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so as far as the red light, the speed cameras, those were just projections because it was our first year. So it may actually be lower than the actuals, right? And then once people start going through them, they tend to know that that's where they're at. And so of course it would get lower. I'm not looking at the paperwork again because I'm in the truck, but if that is the case, if it is lower, that would be the likely reason for it. And of course, the permits were submitted in September of 2024. So sooner soon as we get some update on the red light camera, then like you said, John should let you know. Thank you. Hope that answered your question.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
All right. Anyone else have any questions?
Yeah, Commissioner Wheatley, just to add some context to the question. So speed cameras, year to date, the town's collected 180,000 of a budget of 245. So we've raised about 74%. So speed camera is great. Like, we're ahead of schedule on the budget. We're having a ton of luck with it. Red light is where we're seeing the shortfalls in revenues. So just to clarify the difference between the two.
Yes, thank you, Todd. The speed cameras, we're fine with those. Those permits are great. Red Speed's been doing a great job with those. So speed camera is not an issue. It's the red light camera. Cameras, I should say. All right. If there's no questions, no further questions, I should say. Is there a motion to approve the public safety report and financial report for December?
Brooks, so moved as read.
Thank you, Commissioner Brooks, for your motion. Is there a second?
Given second.
Sound like I heard Mr. Henderson first, so I'm going to go with Commissioner Henderson for the second. Call for the vote. Those in favor, please say aye.
Starting with Ward 1.
Aye.
Commissioner Young,
I can't see them, but I'll go ahead and say aye.
Ward 2,
Henderson, aye.
Ward 3, aye. Ward 4,
Givens, Ward 4, aye.
at large.
Brooks, aye.
Motion passes. There were no nays or abstentions. We will continue to move to our next item on the agenda, which would be the commissioners' reports. We'll start with Ward 1, Commissioner Young.
I don't have any report myself, but if there's anyone online from Ward 1 who has anything they'd like to share, please feel free to go ahead. If not, then we don't have a report.
Thank you, Commissioner Young. Actually, I'm going to go to Commissioner Henderson next for Ward 2. Commissioner Henderson, do you have anything to report?
Yeah, I just like to mention about on 40th Avenue, right at the corner across from the firehouse. It's a ladder that's been up on a building for almost over, I'd say, 2 months. And I'm just wondering, I mean, it could be a hazard. If a kid walks under that ladder, knock it down. I mean, it's a danger all the way around. And it's been sitting up there. No one's painting. I haven't seen anyone. I took a picture of it, but I wasn't sure if I sent it out because of my surgery and things like that. But that ladder is still up against that building.
Is it the town's building or is it someone else's building?
No, it's someone else's building.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you.
And do you remember you mentioning this last time?
Yes,
You
I did.
mentioned it a couple of times, and I thought someone was going to look into it. So can we please make a note, Mr. Holtzen, to make sure that someone goes around and investigates to see what's going on over there?
Will do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Anything else, Commissioner Henderson?
you. No, that's about all.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ward 3, which is myself, nothing really to report out. I do want to say thank you to the town manager, Commissioners Brooks and Givens, the chief, and any other staff that assisted. I believe Joe Mayo also assisted with the snow collecting and moving it and clearing the streets. And I want to give a big kudos to our contractors. They did a great job, in my opinion. So I think for our first snow of the year, I think it went pretty well. I have not heard any complaints. Matter of fact, I've been hearing compliments about how nice everything went. And I just want to say thank you to all of those who helped out. I really do appreciate it. Ward 4, Commissioner Givens.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I would second that. In regards to, the work that we've done out here, it's important to know that having 3 plows on the street, getting this thing knocked out is pertinent, as fast as that snow was coming down. And I've been through other towns, and you can go right next door to Brentwood. There's a sheet of ice on a couple of streets, and we have not one street that has a sheet of ice on it. And, the chief and I have been working diligently, working together. The program that we put together last minute to help those in need, seniors and disabled people, do the plowing, do the shoveling. John jumped in there and broke his back, and I jumped in there with the snow plow. And I think when we did a great job, and I think people were really feeling pleased. The elderly who was assisted was really pleased with what we were able to do for them. So, and all of those areas that belong to the town, around the tot lot and everything else in front of the old firehouse and up on the, I guess, that walkway alongside the town hall, all that stuff was taken care of, snow blowed, and it looks good and salted. So we're looking good out here, and we're ready for Saturday. We're moving cars right now to get the snow out of these parking spaces, because we're anticipating another 3 to 5 inches. I think 3 to 5 inches on Saturday. So, and we'll be ready. Thank you. I yield back.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner. At large, Commissioner Brooks, anything to
Yeah,
report?
just real quick, same thing. I'll be real brief. I really like this year that we kind of added that layer of helping elderly. I think myself and Demetrius knocked out about 22 houses. So I think that's a huge benefit. And, as you get older, it's tougher on the heart to keep shoveling sidewalks and everything. So big thank you. Thank you, John. Thank you, Chief, Joe. Yeah, I think it was just a really nice thing, and I'm hopeful that we can kind of get other volunteers in the future to kind of jump in so we can get even more sidewalks cleared for elderly residents and other residents that need it. That's all I have. Thank you.
Yes, again, thank you, Commissioner Brooks, as well. I know in the past we have talked about having a little list, a call list of volunteers for this type of stuff when we have snow emergencies. At one time, we were looking at some of the explorers. I think their names were on the list. Probably could check in with Chief on that. But we were trying to put a list together, and I remember some of the names. I know Joe was one of them. It was another young man. I think he was an explorer. His name was Isaiah, I believe. And it was a few others, but I definitely appreciate what you guys did for our seniors and our disabled folks. It was very, very well coordinated, and I know everyone appreciates it. I've seen comments in the chat. Ms. Hamler said she agrees the town staff and commissioners, contractors did a great job. So I think it was awesome what you guys did, and everyone I'm sure is very appreciative. So
I do
let's
just want to add real quick, me and Demetrius came up with a list of houses that we kind of took care of. So hopefully in the future, we can just kind of go to those houses and add anybody else that needs to be added to the list. But I think it's going to be helpful in just identifying for us quickly who needs, assisted services, and we should be able to get it done quicker. Thank you.
Thank you. So we're going to continue our agenda tonight. We have 2 presentations. One is on the walkable watershed, which will be presented by Michelle and Brian. And then we have a retirement program, which is with Paychecks, our current payroll provider. So we'll start with the walkable watershed. Is Michelle or Brian on the call?
Yep. We're both here.
Yep. Hey,
Hi,
good to see
Michelle.
y'all.
Hi.
How are you? Happy
I'm
New
well.
Year.
How are you?
I'm good. Happy New Year.
Happy
Thank
New
you for
Year.
joining us
Happy New
tonight.
Year.
Happy New
Happy New
Year.
Year
Good to be
too.
here.
So we'll turn the floor over to you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So before I turn things over to Brian to talk specifically about the projects for Cottage City, for those of you that haven't been engaged in the Walkable Watershed project, I just want to give you a real quick overview. My name is Michelle Kokolas. I'm a program manager at the Environmental Finance Center at the University of Maryland. We, in conjunction with our partners, Skio Solutions, who some of them are on the call this evening as well, and Defensores de la Cuenca and Hirschman Water and Environment have been working for about the past 2 years with all 4 of the port towns on this walkable watershed project. The project is slated to end this coming April, and so the last thing that we need to do is put some projects in the ground. So we have been working on identifying a host of projects and issues and concerns throughout the past 2 years through engagement with representatives from the port towns, as well as community outreach and engagement to identify stormwater issues and issues related to pedestrian safety and transit mobility between blue and green spaces in the communities. And after you're collecting a lot of information, we're at a point where we're narrowing it down to some projects. We have some funding to put some projects in the ground, and the town has some match funds that they need to use as well. And so what we wanted to do this evening was talk to you all about what we are proposing as the project specifically for Cottage City, some of which will be paid for through the grant that we have, and some of which will be paid for through the town's match. Any questions about that? So then I'll turn things over to Brian to talk about some specifics. We've had some meetings with John and Commissioner Wheatley to talk about ideas that have come up for the town specifically. So these are not new to them. They have been vetted through them and their engagement in this project already, but we're here to present them all to you for feedback. So with that, I will turn it over to Brian.
Sure. Thanks, Michelle. Yeah, so we had some good conversations leading up to this, and I think we have some great ideas for how we can make some improvements around the town hall. Some of these ideas are going to be kind of improvements to existing features, and then some are also some new features. Can I see the next slide? Sorry, I don't know if there's a way to control, but yeah, so I think everybody is probably pretty familiar with the site, the town hall, but we will introduce it. I think folks know where it is, but it's at the intersection of Cottage Terrace and 40th Ave. Next slide. So, some of the features that we'll talk about, there is an existing rain garden. So some of the things that we're recommending are just improvements to it. It's gotten a bit overgrown. We've got some images of that. And then also some additional garden space. So just to orient everybody, most of the features are visible from 40th Avenue. So what we're talking about is kind of on the terrace. Yeah, that's helpful. Between the town hall and 40th Avenue, there's a level area. Right now, the rain garden is collecting stormwater from the parking lot that's behind town hall. So some of what we're going to recommend is just improving that kind of drainage. But then there's also this nice flat, wide open green space that we think will be really nice for some additional garden. Okay, go ahead. So yeah, just to look at the concept. So yeah, here just quick overview. One of the biggest features that we're recommending is a stormwater planter. It's basically a steel box that would run right along the front of the town hall on, I guess, the northwest side. It'd just be a linear box that fits nicely in between. There's a walkway there and the front facade of the town hall. And then on number 2, there's a kind of wide open green space that we showed in the last slide that we think would be a great candidate for a native plant garden. Number 3, actually I'll say number 4 first, is that existing rain garden where it's gotten a bit overgrown. There's a lot of trees in there. We think it would be worthwhile to get rid of some of those trees. And then at number 3, we think we could extend that garden and basically have it carry into that open green space. And then number 5, yeah, some of the kind of the channel design to get water from that parking lot into the rain garden. We think we can improve that with new swale. Next slide. So yeah, here's a look. This is very similar to what we're recommending. This type of kind of steel planter. Basically, you connect downspouts. I think John was telling us that the gutters could use some repair in their current state anyway. But basically, we could fix up the existing gutters and have them discharge rain into a new steel planter that looks like this one on the image on the right. And then it gets planted. It has a lot of volume to collect and capture stormwater, but it can also be filled with beautiful flowering plants. Next slide. And then here's what we're talking about with where the existing rain garden is. Number 2, getting rid of some of those trees, just where they're just crowding each other out, and then kind of extending that garden in the space we're seeing with number 1. We know it's important to that existing cedar tree is important. So it could be a good conversation whether we want to try and incorporate it into the garden or if it makes sense to transplant it. I think we could have some nice landscape boulders where at number 3 to separate the rain garden from the proposed new garden. I think that's it on the slide. Next. And then to kind of mirror that existing garden and the extension on the other side of that of the entry walkway, we could carry that design over so that it feels symmetrical with the building and have native plants there as well. So that's in this green space. I also personally think this would be a really nice kind of seating area because it's so flat and it's really easy, pretty accessible off of that front walkway. So that could be something we could talk about. So we wanted to get a sense for the type of garden, thinking about what native plant gardens can look like. They can really look like any type of garden. And we want to make sure that we're balancing kind of aesthetic, interests with maintenance, so we're kind of going to show an array of options. This first is kind of the simplest, where we're just proposing shrubs, which don't spread necessarily. They're probably on the easier side of maintenance. They take up space, but aren't quite as unruly, and you can fill a lot of space without having a lot of different plants that might be kind of fussy. So here's kind of one example of what a native plant garden could look like. And this could include currently in the rain garden we have northern sea oats, and so this style of garden maybe could be as simple as just having some shrubs and just carrying that northern sea oats further into the landscape. Next slide. And then another option that's kind of in the middle is more of like a grasses theme, if you will. I think it could still use shrubs to kind of structure the design of the garden, but would include some grasses to have more visual interest. Still not necessarily a gardener's garden with all kinds of different flowers that you have to know and understand. But just a little bit more interest for different times of year, and another option. And then finally, last slide is more of a kind of gardener's garden, as I think of it, with we could have a whole mix of different grasses and shrubs and flowering plants. So we kind of want to get a sense for what the interest is there, balancing, maintenance and aesthetic value. And I think that's all. Thank you.
And so I'll just add quickly that in terms of funding, the funding that we have in the grant, that money is going to be, a portion of that money is going to be used for rehabbing the existing rain garden, and the things associated with that. And then the town's match will be used to go toward these new projects that Brian discussed this evening, the stormwater planter and the additional native plantings that will go in. And so what we'll need to do is you all will need to decide which projects you want to push forward so that we can get estimates for the town on costs associated to them and start the process of planning for those things. Wanda or John, is there anything else you wanted us to cover before we take questions? Or anything you want to add?
No, I think you guys did a great presentation. I really like that first slide with I think it was wild berry.
But
The
with the
red,
shrubs?
yeah, with the shrub. I thought that was a really pretty. It was very vibrant, and so if I had to pick, I would definitely pick that one. But no, you guys did good. I'm ready to open it up to anyone who wants to ask a question from the commission. Amy, I see your hand. So we're going to go to the commissioners first, and then we'll hear from the public. So, John, did you have anything?
No, I think you addressed everything that we discussed in our previous meetings, so thank you.
Yeah.
All right, thanks.
So we'll start with Ward 1. Commissioner Young, any questions for Brian or Michelle?
No, thank you for your presentation.
Thank you. Ward 2, Commissioner Henderson.
No questions. It was a beautiful presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Ward 4, Commissioner Givens.
No questions. Thank you.
At large, Commissioner Brooks.
No comments, but just thank you guys for coming out. It did look beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you. So before we go to the public, I see that our attorney has his hand raised. Mr. Best, did you have a question for the presenter?
Yes, Madam Chair. I wanted to know if there's a grant agreement that's been executed for this project.
Yes. There is a grant agreement between the 4 Port Town. We did this agreement a couple of years ago, right, Michelle?
Yeah, so the grant so there's two different things that are in place. The University of Maryland has the formal grant agreement with the funder, which is the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation. This is a $500,000 grant that we received to work with the 4 port towns, and that covers everything from our time, our contractors' time, some supplies and things like that. And the implementation funds that we have is all covered in that grant agreement. And then prior to as part of the grant proposal that we wrote, which was in, Wanda, you may need to help me here. I think it was 2021. It was in between town managers when Chief Ayers was actually acting as was the acting manager. So he and Wanda were the ones who helped us with the proposal. And so then each of the 4 port towns, as part of that proposal, committed a certain amount of match to this project. And so we have that in writing as well. But the towns did not actually sign the grant agreement with the funder. They're just written into the project. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, let me follow on. When these improvements are made to the town hall site, who arranges the contractor to do that work? Who are the laborers involved and how is that arranged?
Yeah, so it will depend on the project, right? The ones that the rehab to the rain garden will go through the University of Maryland as part of the grant, but I believe John was also looking into the possibility of whether or not, as part of the town's match, they could help with any of like the tree removal, or if we need to push any dirt around or anything like that. The new projects that you all will decide on, those will be handled through the town. We can give you recommendations and things like that, but because it's part of it's the town's match for this project, the town has to actually arrange those contracts and pay those vendors.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Michelle, I think we started off with Consuela, Barbara, when you guys originally approached us. And then Consuela left, and then Chief was acting for a little while. And then we had Carol Richardson come in as the next town manager. So
Right.
it's been several years, I would say at
been a
least
while.
3. Yeah, it's been a while that the project has been in the making. And so we're getting towards the end. And don't we have like a deadline that we need to make some
Yeah.
decisions?
Well, the decisions need to be made as soon as possible because this project ends in April. And so even if the new plantings aren't put in the ground by April, the plans need to be in place and contracts would need to be established with whoever's going to do the work. We have some wiggle room, obviously, because of like weather happens and things like that. But we need to be able to show that all of the town's match is allocated and accounted for before we close out our final report with the funder, which is due at the end of April.
All right, sounds good. So we're gonna move on to Amy. You had a question or comment?
Hi, yeah, I did. This is a really great presentation. So I really appreciate seeing the effort in putting some more native plants around the town. I'm a master gardener and I have a specialty in native plants. I've done a lot of work with the Greenworks program at Joe's with native plants, as well as the library and the Mount Rainier Nature Center. We're doing a big winter sowing seed festival on the 25th of January. So some of the comments I have are from an education perspective and just trying to make this as useful as possible for the whole town. The first thing is that I would highly recommend that the town adopt a garden with the least amount of maintenance. We have a reduced public works department now. Maintenance of native gardens is not trivial. I think even just having the shrubs, the amount of weeding that would be involved would be a lot. I think far more than what we anticipate. But maybe a combination of bunch grasses or a ground cover with the shrubs would be the way to go, and to not do any other native perennials. As nice as they are, they just require way more maintenance than we have the staff or the money to cover. That said, there are a couple of really good resources that if there's any way to incorporate them, Nature Forward, which was the local Audubon Society, they've renamed themselves now. They make available, the images are free. We would just need to get them printed. They're educational signs that come in English and in Spanish with QR codes. So anything that we have that matches their list, they've got they're up to about 50 different species right now, including the winterberry. It would be great to have that just so that there's more interaction with the public. Another education part, if there's any way that we could add a monarch way station and get signage for that, to do that, we would need to have 3 species of Asclepias for monarchs. There are a couple of other things, but it's very, very simple to do it. But just having the monarchs is another great way to get the community involved. But as we look at it, I'm curious how the council is, how are we planning on doing this maintenance? I mean, I think the main reason that the existing rain garden is so overgrown is because it hasn't been maintained, and those trees are going to come back. It's a never-ending process. Will Sanders and his group at Greenworks, they do have some money that where they're able to do maintenance of native plants in the community. I'm sure the Green Team could reach out and see if we could use them as a resource. There's also been discussion in the native plant community about getting more certification programs for getting young adults involved in teaching them these skills so that they can go on, much like what Greenworks is trying to do to get jobs in this industry. So as this moves forward, I would love to be involved. I'm really happy that this is happening. I'm just, I'm a little worried that we're going to take on more than we can handle. And I just want to make sure that whatever we're putting in, we can handle it. It's the first 3 years are really critical, that if the maintenance isn't being done, it's really easy for it to get out of control. Thank you.
I have a question and a comment. My comment is, first of all, we think that some of those trees were actually planted in that rain garden. They weren't part of the original plan, like the crepe myrtles were not in the original plan, and crepe myrtles aren't typically something that's a volunteer species. So we think at some point in time that was actually planted in there. And then my question is, I agree with what you're saying about the lower maintenance options for things, which is also why we presented the 3 sort of, 3 basic ideas. Where would you, regarding the monarchs and the Asclepias, where would you want to see that? Because that goes against the that goes against the shrubs and the ground cover idea.
Hey,
Sure.
Michelle. Hey, Michelle. Can you guys talk offline? Because we
Sure.
have a lot to cover tonight, and so I want to keep this moving. Is it possible that maybe you two could exchange information?
She's got my information.
Yeah,
already.
absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Great.
Thank you, Wanda.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Appreciate your comment. So, if there are no other questions or comments, Michelle and Brian, I want to say thank you for your presentation tonight. I think everything looks great. We're looking forward to working with you. And how soon do you need? You said as soon as possible.
As soon as possible. Yeah, I know that your process for this month has been sort of uprooted from
Mhm.
2 meetings to 1 meeting and things like that. So I'm not sure what your process moving forward is. If I understand it correctly, the commissioners need to decide
Yes.
which project ideas you want to push forward, right?
Yes. Yes.
So, and Denise, we saw your comments. Thank you. So I guess if you can just follow up with me after the
Mhm.
meeting and let me know what your process moving forward is, and if there's any additional information that you need from us to make those decisions so that we can get things nailed down and then get you estimates, because I know that, John, that's what you need. You really need to know how much each of these projects is going to cost to get approval to move them forward, and then also to make sure that you're meeting all of your match requirements.
That is correct.
But yes, Wanda, time is of the essence at this point. So the sooner the better.
Okay, so you're right. Normally we would have had a work session. We could have had the presentation during the work session, and then the following week we would have been able to vote and do that in the Wednesday meeting. But because the work session was should have been yesterday, and the town meeting is tonight, we would have had 2 meetings back to back. And with the snow emergency, we just could not manage to do both this week. So
Right.
one of the meetings got canceled.
Completely understand.
So we're gonna definitely make a decision and get back to you as soon as possible.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay,
Let us know
all
if you
right.
need anything else.
Certainly. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Next we have, is it Aquilina? Am I saying that right?
Yeah, it's Aquilina.
Aquilina. So you're with Paychecks?
Yes. So I've been with Paychecks for, you want me to go ahead and get started?
If you could introduce yourself, sure. Thank you.
Okay. So my name is Aquilina Thurston, and I've been with Paychecks for over 10 years. I work in the Retirement Services Department for the state of Maryland. My job with Paychecks is not only do I do all the setup and the enrollment of all the retirement plans that Paychecks puts out, I also do a constant checkup. So we usually call people at the end of the year and at the beginning of the year to see if there's going to be any changes done with their account, and to see if they are open to, making anything easier that they already currently have. The reason why I reached out to John was because we do your payroll, and you guys do have a retirement plan in place. I believe you have a 457 in place. And so we kind of went over that. I don't know all the specifics of your 457, but what I did go over were the ways Paychecks could help you guys kind of reduce your load as far as dealing with the retirement and making it a little bit easier and more accessible for your employees. So Paychecks is also an administrator of 401k plans, which means that we are in charge of the setup, all of the testing, the movement of the money, and it's also incorporated with your Paychecks portal, which means when the employees sign in, they're able to see, their pay stubs, their W-2s. Sometimes they're able to see their health and benefits, but they also will be able to see their retirement plan. They'll be able to see how much is in it, if it's gone up, if it's gone down, what their current deferral is, where their current money is as far as, what mutual funds their money is in, and if they, have any loans on it or outstanding rollovers from another retirement plan. What I proposed to John when I talked to him was that we could help you guys by integrating it with your payroll, which means that you guys could still keep your 457 if you wanted, but you can also have a 401k that's beside it. And the difference between the two is the 401k allows you to put up to that 23.5 every year. And that doesn't matter if you guys match your employees or if you don't match your employees. The 457 only lets you go up to that 23.5 if the employer doesn't contribute. So it's the maximum with that. Now, if you were to contribute to your employees in a 401k, then it would allow your employees to have a little bit more than that 23.5 in there, because it would not be including whatever the employer's contribution is. The other thing is, if you guys wanted to, if they wanted to make any changes to their account or change their deferral, it would allow them to do that every pay period, which is very important sometimes, because sometimes people's life change. Sometimes they start off and they want a certain percentage, and then they decide, hey, I don't want to do this percentage anymore. I want to change it. Most 457s allow you to change your deferral once or twice a year. So this would give your employees a little bit more flexibility to be able to change the deferrals, whether it goes up, whether it goes down, whether they decide that at this time they don't want to contribute, they would always have that option. The second thing it would allow them to do is to make loans against it. With the 457 plan you currently have, the only time people withdraw money from that is if they were to leave like the government entity. If leave the job, go somewhere else, or like retire, then they would have access to that money. With the 401k, they would have a little bit easier time to be able to access that money. So let's say if they were buying a house, adopting a child, having a child, any type of family change, they would have access to that money and they could do a loan up against it and pay themselves back. This way that it's money that they can utilize, and when they pay themselves back, the interest that they pay goes to them. So therefore, while the money is out of the 401k, it's still making money for them. The third thing they would be able to do is they would be able to move the money around the funds. Usually in a 457, which you guys currently have, there's not a lot of funds to choose from. With a 401k, you're going to have around 40 different funds. And if you'd like to move your money around between those funds, then you're able to do that, depending on, how each fund is doing. If you want to move your money from one fund to the next, you'd be able to do that all through our self-service portal. So what Paychex would be doing is would be taking a lot of work off of whoever calculates your retirement right now and sends the money. It would take that off of them, because then Paychex would have your payroll and your retirement integrated together, which means every pay period we would be calculating all the deferrals, and we'd be moving it directly to the mutual funds for them. It would take the responsibility of moving their money and being responsible for getting that money to their mutual fund by the end of the month. It would also take the responsibility off of whoever calculates it to make sure the calculations are correct. And then at the end of the year, Paychex does a 5500 form, which keeps track of all of the things that are deposited or withdrawn from your 401k plan, so that when, like, for instance, they go to file their taxes, it's already going to have on there, this is how much we put into our 401k. So when they ask you that, when you do TurboTax or if you go to a CPA, it's already going to be on there how much you put into a retirement plan. So then you're able to get that tax credit that could be available to you at that time. Do you guys have any questions so far?
No, I don't have any questions. I do like the options that you're offering. I know where I currently work, I can borrow against my 401k. So I think that's a great option to have. And also being able to make changes, every pay period, because sometimes, like you said, things pop up and you need to move, and make a different change. So having that option available, I think that's great too. So I think it's a good idea to look at the different options. I would definitely want to make sure that the employees are presented this or given an opportunity to have this presentation as well, because it doesn't make sense for us to do it if they don't want to, buy into it.
Yeah.
But I appreciate the presentation. Thank you.
This is Commissioner Young. I'm not sure if you can answer this, but I was very impressed by your presentation, and
Thanks.
Overall, it seems like the 401k is a better option. If you take over this, will that save us and or the employees any kind of fees? Maybe you said that and I missed it.
No, I don't know how much fees you guys pay right now. But I do know that it's probably around the same amount. I don't know how much you guys have, allocated for your retirement plan. Obviously you pay something because no one does anything for nothing. So, I'd have to see how much you guys pay now I did send John a proposal, which is on the right-hand side of what our fees are. They are competitive though. So let's say, you know, you come back and you're like, well, this is what we're currently paying. Paychex does match other things in order to gain your business. So if you guys could send me, or if Tom could send me, John can send me the what you guys pay now, we could make some comparisons.
Yeah, I can get
Well,
that.
thank
from
you very
Tom.
much. I'm impressed. Thank you.
You're welcome. I think what it really saves you guys is not only would it maybe save the money, but it does save the time. It saves the responsibility, and it just saves the peace of mind of knowing that, let's say this is someone's job and they go out sick or they're on vacation, that it's just, you don't have to worry about someone moving that money every time. It just automatically goes within 24 hours of the paycheck. Sometimes some people don't move the money to the end of the month, which means if you don't do that, then they've kind of lost out on all that interest for those 30 days that you guys waited to move their money. The 401k and any type of retirement plan, the money is compounded, interest is compounded every day. So every day that you wait, it does affect other people.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments from the commissioners? Commissioner Henderson, Brooks, or Givens?
Yeah, this is Brooks. No, thank you so much for the presentation. John, yeah, I would like to see kind of a cost comparison. But I liked Wanda's idea as well to take it to the staff and make sure that they would feel comfortable with that kind of transition. But thank you again. I really appreciate the presentation.
Henderson, thank you for the wonderful presentation, but also I would agree with the same thing Brooks and Wanda said. Also, you know, take it to the employees and also have a little more comparison about how much more it's going to cost. A little more details.
Yeah, I understand.
Commissioner Givens?
No questions. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Aquilina? Did I
Yeah,
say that right?
it's Aquilina, but it's okay.
I keep saying it wrong. I'm sorry. I apologize.
No, it's okay.
Aquilina.
It's actually pronounced Aquilina. It's my grandmother's name. But so my parents wanted to make like a little bit of a different spin on it, so they called me Aquilina. But it actually is pronounced Aquilina and as the original name. So you're not all wrong.
Okay, well, I feel a little better. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All righty. So, John Holston, can you get with Aquilina?
I sure will. And we'll get a comparison for you all, and we will also talk to the staff to get their interest in it, and then we'll come back to you all with a proposal.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All righty. So we'll move on. So next is old business, Town of Cottage City Air Monitoring Program, MOU. So Mr. Holston, you're going to cover this under your report, correct?
That is correct. I will address that.
Okay, so we'll move on. New business resolution 2025-01, budget calendar.
All right, this is, let me go ahead, I'll read it into the record and then I will discuss it with you all. It's Town of Cottage City Resolution 2025-01, a resolution of the Cottage City Commission establishing a budget calendar for the fiscal year 2026 budget process and introduced by the Town of Cottage City Commission. Now, what this does is this outlines the calendar for our budget cycle for this upcoming fiscal year in 26. We start off tonight, of course, by having a discussion about the calendar and hopefully approving to this calendar. And then we're looking at hopefully at our next meeting on February the 4th at a work session, hopefully we'll hear from the public from 7 to 7:30, have a chance for the public to weigh in about importance of things in the budget that we need to look out for, the commissioner priorities and goal setting. On Wednesday, February 12th, at the regular town meeting, we're looking at commission budget priorities discussion. to know what the priorities are there. Tuesday, March the 4th, at a work session, we're looking at the anticipated revenue, expenses, town tax rate discussion. At our regular town meeting in March 12th, we're looking at the anticipated revenue, expenses, departmental and CIP discussion. And then in April 1st, 2025, at a work session, we're looking for public comment about the proposed town tax rate schedule, the CYTR hearing if applicable. Then on April the 9th, at our regular town meeting, we're talking about the draft budget ordinance and budget book. We're going to prepare a budget book that's going to help the residents to see where their money is being spent and where their money is going. And hopefully that's going to provide some clarity there. And also going to be taking public comment. May 6th, at the commission work session, we're going to hopefully introduce the budget ordinance and public comment. Again, it's important to have the public input on the budget process. And then Wednesday, May 14th, at a regular town meeting, we're hopefully will approve the budget ordinance and the budget book. Now, this schedule will possibly change if we have something where we may have to get more clarity or things, but this is what we're hoping for. And then, of course, on Tuesday, July the 1st of 2025, we're looking at hopefully the fiscal year 2026 budget will be in effect.
Are we waiting for a motion?
Mr. Holson, was that it?
That's it. That's all.
All right, I didn't know if you had finished or not.
No, I'm finished.
All right, I'm assuming that the dates are good for Todd. Did you check with Todd?
I think we sent it to Todd. Todd, are you on still?
Yeah, I mean, I have conflicts Mondays and Thursdays, so first glance, this looks good. I've got David Jamison with me from my team this evening. So he's going to help with the budget this year in case I've got other commitments. But yeah, looks good at first glance.
Okay. So you need us to vote on this tonight, right?
Yes, please.
All righty. Is there a motion to approve Resolution 2025-01 budget calendar?
Brooks, so moved as read.
Thank you, Commissioner Brooks. Is there a second?
Henderson, second.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Henderson. We will call for the vote. Those in favor, please say aye, starting with Ward 1. Commissioner Young.
Aye.
Ward
Henderson,
2.
aye.
Ward 3, aye. Ward 4.
Ward 4, aye.
At large.
Brooks, aye.
Thank you, Commissioners. Motion passes. No nays or abstentions. We will proceed with the dates that you have proposed.
Thank you.
Okay. Next item.
Next item on the agenda, Commissioner Chair Wheatley is in need of a brand new laptop. Unfortunately, she's having some technical issues with her current equipment. The last time it was, I believe, purchased was back in 2022. And she's not able to perform some of the things that need to be done. And so we have gotten a quote from Peak Technology, our IT company, and we're looking to replace it. It'll be $1,260.37. That's for a Dell Latitude 14-inch notebook computer with the upgrades and with the setup items. It'll be, of course, like I said, $1,260.37. And just looking to get approval from the commission.
And just to let you guys know, I have tried repeatedly to get Peak to fix my laptop. I've called multiple times. Every time I get a different tech, and every time they try to go in, they can't get Microsoft Office suites to work at all. I can't get Teams to work. I've been using some workarounds, but it's very difficult opening attachments and just getting some of the regular documents in our email. Outlook has really been an issue for me. So I've been trying to get it fixed and they just are not able to fix it. So I would like to get approval to get an updated laptop because I do use this laptop quite a bit. And I don't want to, and I can't use my laptop from my job. I'm just not allowed to do that. So I would need you guys' approval in order to get it purchased because it's over $1,000. Any discussion?
I don't have any discussion, but if you can, when you're ready, can you have them read it into the record again so someone could say so moved? Because nobody gonna remember all of that latitude and all that other stuff. All right.
Okay.
This is
Okay.
Brooks. I have no objection.
Okay. Anyone else?
No objection here. Commissioner Young.
Thank you. So, John, can you read the amount again, please?
Yes, we need approval for it's for the Dell Latitude 14-inch notebook with the Dell upgrade for the 1 year next upgrade, and then also the setup fee from Pete Technology for a grand total of $1,260.37.
So moved is read.
Thank you,
Brooks,
Commissioner.
second.
Thank you, Commissioner Brooks. And thank you, Commissioner Givens, for the motion and Brooks for the second. Call for the vote. We'll start with Ward 1, Commissioner Young.
Young, aye.
Henderson,
Ward 2. Ward 3, aye. Ward 4,
Ward 4, aye.
at large.
Brooks, aye.
Thank you, everyone. Motion passes. There are no nays or abstentions. Moving on. Is this an agenda topic? A commission goal setting next 6 months.
I put this on the agenda. We don't really have to go into it tonight. It's just basically, I'd like to hear from you all within the coming, I would say, hopefully by the next work session, to hear from you all about goals that you all have for 2025 and 2026, to sort of guide the ship, as they say. Being the town manager coming new into the organization, I want to know what your priorities are, and what projects you're looking at doing. And I think that that would be very helpful, being in this role. So I'm hoping that by the next meeting, because of course, some of these items will of course have budgetary implications to them. So we kind of want to, start strategizing as a team and as a community as to what we feel are our priorities and goals. So that's the reason why I put it on the agenda for this evening.
All righty.
I would like to raise my hand.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so, and I appreciate that, and yeah, and I'll work on a list, but one thing I think we can, I would like to, to kind of get off the ground, since we got a new year starting, is can we as a goal, can we get back to providing patrol during the bus stops, during the morning times and the afternoons, as a mandatory thing, creating a schedule working with the police, creating a schedule that ensures that someone is there during that block of hours. I think it's I don't have any kids, but I see people out there around 7:30 to, I guess, 8:30 or 7 to 9 or whatever that is. But again, it's just, I know not to necessarily sit at one spot, but move around, drive around into that, a pattern, just so that, right now we haven't had any incidents, but we have had incidents in the past, and we don't want to wait and to those types of things reoccur. So I'd appreciate if we can kind of start off and get back to that the new year. Thank you.
I definitely will look into that. Thank you.
Anyone else? So
This
if we
is
could all,
Brooks.
Yeah,
Oh, sir.
go
No,
ahead.
just one of my big ones is, different ways of slowing down traffic, but I'll kind of tailor that a bit and come back in the next work session with it. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else?
Henderson.
On that same subject,
Commissioner
go ahead
Henderson,
and
then
I'll wait.
Commissioner Young.
Go ahead, man.
Oh, okay. I was just going to add to what John said. Issues on 38. I mean, that's sort of critical because people speed through there.
I was gonna say same
And I
thing.
really think oh, well, good. Great minds. Until we get some overhead lights where people could push a button and cause a red light to really stop traffic where cars could see it, we're going to continue to have the problem. And until we slow that down, nothing else is going to, I mean, we can stop people cutting through the other parts of town. And I totally agree with that. But whatever we can do to get the state to do more for us on 38th, I think is important. Thank you.
This is Henderson. I agree with the speed, but also I think in the future might have a little bit of problems out those little motorbikes. They run the light. They don't have any. They don't even stop at stop signs. And I think in the future we might have a little problem out of that. So and also the speed for those motorbikes. I don't know how we can control something like that, but I think one day in the future it'll start harming the town. And I'm scared
I
for
totally agree.
a child might
Sorry.
get hit by one or anything.
They are a real problem, and I totally agree with you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Holtzen.
Next item on the agenda is the mayor's conference is coming up. And Commissioner Chair Wheatley, we have looked at the numbers and want to get your consent to send Commissioner Chair Wheatley to the Maryland Mayor's Conference, the conference that'll be happening on March 6th and 7th at the Governor Calvert House in Annapolis. And I have put together on the side here a list of the fees. We got registration of $195. Meals and incidentals for the per diem would be $120. Gas to and from the Annapolis area would run for mileage would be $76.16 for a total expense of $391.16. Just need to get consent from the commission so that we can go ahead and register Commissioner Chair Wheatley for the conference.
This is
moved as read.
Brooks. No, I was just going to ask, I think in the last conference, the question came up, do we still have budget for training?
We do. I know I
Okay.
have to work with Todd and the accounting because we have to move some of the staff. It looks like everything got put into the, we haven't touched the commission training. So I think it's in another training line. So I have to figure out, okay, commission, I got to move it around, but we'll get that done. Coding wise, and then I know that there's money left over, so we should be fine with the 391.16.
I have no objection. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have one comment. I have no objection to the amount of money we're talking about. It's not that much. However, we don't have a mayor, and so the concerns of the mayors are not going to be the same concerns that we have. So, if you go, Wanda, just keep that in mind because there is a difference between how we govern, which is more broadly across the whole commission, and depending on whether they have strong mayors or weak mayors, how mayors govern. So I'm not sure how helpful it will be, but since it's not a lot of money, I'm not going to object.
Well, actually, Commissioner.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead,
Yeah.
Commissioner Young, then I'll.
Yeah. So the chair acts as a pseudo type of mayors, even though we don't have an official mayor. And like you said, Commissioner Young, all mayor forms of government are differ. So you might have a strong mayor, form of government, weak mayor, form of government. So in actuality, what we have here is a shared, we have shared interest and equally shared interest. So she does represent us, and actually their concerns are much like our concerns. They're talking about their towns, and they're representing their towns and the things that are ongoing on their town and what may benefit them in the future for those towns. So I disagree with that. It might not be a name, but in spirit, there's absolutely a place, and we've always had this opportunity to send someone, and we have done it in the past. So it's not like it's new. So I yield back.
Thank you. And I was just going to say, I attended last year, and I must say that the discussion during the conference very much did gear towards our town, as Commissioner Givens just referenced.
Yeah.
Even though my title may not be mayor, the information that is shared during the conference does pertain to our town as a municipality. And it's a lot of networking. We hear about legislation that's coming down the pike that's going to affect all the municipalities, including Cottage City. So I'm sorry, Commissioner Young, I understand what you're saying. My title may not be mayor, but the conference is very beneficial. And there are other commissioners who attend who also don't have the title of mayor. The mayor from Upper Marlboro, her title is not officially mayor, but they call her the mayor. She's the president of their commission. She just uses the word mayor. It's just a title. All right, Mr. Best, I see you have your hand raised. Is there something you want to say?
Yes. Having spent 8 years of my life on the staff of the Maryland Municipal League, I think everyone there would agree that the Mayor's Association is a misnomer. It would be more accurate to say that it's the Chief Municipal Elected Officials Association, because of the 156 municipalities in the state, they all have different grades and levels of authority bestowed upon the chief elected official. So they're essentially members of the Mayor's Association called burgesses, called presidents, called mayors, called probably a few more other titles. It just doesn't matter what they're called. It's an association for the chief elected official of what's in would be under your charter would be the commissioner chair. Thank you.
Yes.
Well, as
thank
I said,
you.
I don't have any objection. And whatever good you can get out of it, that's great. It does sound like there's some interesting programs.
Thank you. So,
Commissioner Henderson agree. I know it's so much enriched information out there, and I know this town would need it. And so I'm glad you're going.
thank you. All righty. So, Mr. Holson, sounds like we have a consensus for
Okay.
me to attend.
Yep,
If you could
you
make
registered?
sure I'm registered.
will do.
Thank you. All righty. Next up, Black History Month, as we all know, is in February, which is next month. And, this is usually something that I take on with the help of staff and sometimes some of the residents. The last couple of years, Miss Shirley has not been able to coordinate it like she normally would have done in the past. As we know, that was her baby. I kind of assisted her in the last couple of years. I kind of took it over for various reasons because she wasn't able to do it. This year, unfortunately, we've been so swamped with so many things. I haven't really had a chance to really plan like I normally would do. Like normally I would have already started. I would have a date. I would have a program already set up and everything. So I'm still going to try to put something together. It may not be as elaborate as it's been in the past, but I'm hoping I can pull it off. But I do want to get you guys consent on at least a date. So I can start working on it. John, were you
Yeah.
Wanda, could we put a call out to the community and just see if anyone has interest in running this thing? I know
Sure,
you have a lot on your plate, but there may be interest in the community, for somebody to kind of create an event.
sure. We can ask. John, did you get a chance to talk to the other municipalities?
Yes, I am going to be meeting with the town managers tomorrow. We have a meeting, all of us together to talk about events so we don't step on each other's toes. So we are doing that tomorrow.
So you don't have any dates?
Not as of yet. We're talking about it all tomorrow. So I will send it all out to you once I get it.
Okay, well, I need to pick a date.
Okay.
I can't wait that long. Because we won't be meeting again until February. That's way too late. So I'm looking at let's see, 4 Saturdays in February. I'm thinking either the 8th or the 15th. I'd rather do probably the 8th or the 22nd. Does anybody have any objections or any preference?
This is Brooks, no preference for me. Completely your call.
Okay. Commissioner Givens, would you be able to help out?
Yeah, I'll be in town. So whatever you need, just let me know the dates. I'll give you a hand.
Okay. All right, John, let's pencil in February 22nd.
Okay, sounds good. Gotcha.
Commissioner Henderson, if you need my availability, you can pencil me in.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I may reach out to you for some ideas as well, if you
Thank you.
have any.
This is
Um,
Brooks. I'm more than willing to help out too. I don't have all the good ideas, but happy to help out.
I need hands. The main thing I need is I need hands.
That's what I can provide.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. All righty. Miss Sawyer, did you have a comment or question?
I do, just really quick. I know the Mount Rainier branch of the library is usually willing to help out with events like that if you wanted them to do a story hour and a craft. Similarly, the Nature Center is trying to get more involved in communities. They might be able to offer some programming as well, so it would take a little bit of that off your hands.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. All right, so we'll go with February the 22nd. If you can let the other other port towns know, we've already selected our date.
Will do. Thank you.
All right, so we're moving on to the town manager, your report.
Yes, so I reached out to Vivek Ravichandran regarding the air monitors. And in January, because we wanted to have the MOU prepared for this evening. So I would like to go ahead and to read this email so that you all are clear. It says, good afternoon, good evening from India. I'm overseas right now, but wanted to chime in. CEEJH is undergoing a bit of transformation in the sense that CEEJH Incorporated is becoming a nonprofit, and I will be staying with the nonprofit in my role and not the university. Unfortunately, that means I may lose liaison privileges with the university and our MOU, but did want to mention that our nonprofit did receive funding for our air monitoring in 10 EJ communities, which includes 50 sensors in Colmar Manor and Bladensburg each. Now, I know your jurisdiction does not extend past town boundaries, but I am sure we can find a way to add sensors that way, since Colmar Manor already has a few and may become oversaturated that way. They will include the purple air indoor and outdoor, as well as carbon dioxide sensor indoor and outdoor, and a multi-pollutant central sensor at the town hall. This will likely require a follow-up meeting with your team and council, and I will work with Dr. Wilson to generate a liability waiver form similar to what we had with the university, but catered to you all. and our nonprofit. In fact, I will email him now. In fact, we will need that for all 10 EJ communities. Apologies for the delay, but surely you understand the dilemma I find myself in. So we are going to continue to work with him to see, about the air monitoring program. I didn't know if Denise wanted to make a comment or anything like that. Denise?
No comment.
Okay.
We have to wait till he gets, all his ducks in a row, and I would say we proceed accordingly.
Okay. We will keep monitoring and we will keep following up with Mr. Ravichandran. The second thing I have in this report, we do need to go ahead. We have a leaf machine that is currently down. And we have obtained a quote to get that fixed. And we're looking at $3,040.25 to get the leaf machine back up and running. Commissioner Givens was kind enough to find a location that could actually service the leaf machine. We are reaching out. There is a local municipality, Berwyn Heights, who is trying to get their old machine working so that Cottage City could utilize it. But I know they're in the process of getting theirs fixed as well so that they can help us. But we need to go ahead and hopefully get our leaf machine serviced. So of course, we need you to vote tonight to get our leaf machine serviced and back up and running. So once again, the quote is for $3,040.25 to get the leaf machine back up and running.
The big blade truck, I'm gonna put snow in there and move, there's nowhere to dump.
All right, is there any questions for town manager? We'll start with Ward 1.
No questions. Sounds good to me.
Thank you, Ward 2.
Henderson, no, it sounds good to me too. It's what has to be done has to be done.
Thank you. I have no questions or comments. Commissioner Givens, any questions?
No questions or comments.
Thank you. Commissioner Brooks?
Sorry, no comments or questions from me either. Thank you.
Thank you. Can you read it into the record so we can get a motion, please?
Will do. We are looking at getting a repair on the Town of Cottage City leaf machine from Odyssey Schenkel Bus and Truck Repair in Hyattsville, Maryland, for a grand total of $3,040.25.
Their motion.
Brooks, so moved as read.
Thank you, Commissioner Brooks. Is there a second?
Henderson second.
Thank you, Commissioner Henderson, for your second. We will now call for the vote, starting with Ward 1.
Aye.
Thank you, Ward 2.
Henderson, aye.
Thank you, Ward 3. Aye. Ward 4. Commissioner Givens, your vote? Did we lose Commissioner Givens? Givens, you're muted.
You might be outside working with the snow.
Steps away.
All right, Commissioner at Large Brooks.
Brooks, aye.
All righty, so we have at least 4 votes in favor. Not sure what happened to Commissioner Givens. Let's see. He votes yes for leaf machine repair. I guess he's in the middle of something, but he put in the chat yes. All right, so there are no nays or abstentions. The motion passes. Move to the next item, please. All right, if you could just read the public comment section so folks will know what is expected.
Yes. Anyone seeking to speak under public comments must sign in prior to the end of the board work session. Of course, we don't have a sign in tonight, so you'll be raising your hands. There is a 3-minute time limit. When you come up to speak, you will need to state your name, address, what organization or what street you live on, and that you represent and your topic of concern. And I'll be using a time stopwatch for public comment.
All right. right, so I'm looking to see if anyone has their hand currently raised. And I don't see a hand raised. I don't see anything in the chat. If you would like to speak during public comments, please raise your hand so you can be recognized. I'll give you a few minutes. Nothing's in the chat. Let's see. Anyone? No. All right. Guess we have no public comments tonight. We do need to go into a closed session though. What time is it? It's 8:25. So I will need to read the reason for the closed session. So, under General Provisions, Article 3-305B, to discuss the appointment, employment, assignment, promotion, discipline, demotion, compensation, removal, resignation, or performance evaluation of appointees, employees, or officials over whom this public body has jurisdiction, any other personnel matter that affects one or more specific individuals, to protect the privacy or reputation of individuals concerning a matter not related to public business, and to consult with counsel to obtain legal advice. Is there a motion to go into a closed session at 8:26?
Brooks, so moved as read.
Henderson, second.
So Commissioner Brooks, you made the motion to go into a closed session. And Commissioner Henderson, you made the second. And it's 8:26. So we'll call for the vote, starting with Ward 1.
Aye.
Henderson,
Thank
aye.
you. Thank you. Ward 3, aye. Givens. Ward 4.
I thought I heard him.
I think he's still busy.
I thought I heard.
I didn't hear him. He's still muted. At large, Commissioner Brooks, your vote?
So,
Did you say aye?
yes, sorry.
Okay. All right, so we have 4 ayes. I am not sure what's going on with Commissioner Givens, but we have no nays or abstentions, so we'll go into closed session. It's now 8:27. Thank you, everyone. We appreciate you staying on, and Happy New Year, and good night.